Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the 71st meeting of the Jacksonville Environmental and Appearance Advisory Committee. At this time, I wish to call the meeting to order, and I'm looking for an adoption of the agenda. If everyone's had a chance to look it over, looking for an adoption of the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. For a
I second the motion.
Thank you, ma'am. All in agreement?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll adopt the agenda. The minutes consideration, we have some lengthy minutes. Thank you, Chelsea, for all the detail on that for the October 3rd meeting. She's provided those for our consideration. If everyone has had a chance to look those over, looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve
Okay,
the minutes.
thank you, Grace.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, all in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes have been approved. Next item on the agenda, Dr. Washington is going to lead us in the Halloween decorating contest awards.
Good afternoon, committee members and citizens of Jacksonville. Today we're going to acknowledge individual residents that took place in a Halloween competition for the city of Jacksonville. So for our third place winner at 1205 Pine Valley Road is Donald Cotter Jr. So this was our third place winner. Our second place winner was John Stewart Jr., 110 Lionel Avenue in the city of Jacksonville. And then our first place winner is Clint Lopez at 105 Stagecoach Drive. So these citizens decided to participate in our Halloween competition, and it was, as you can see with the winners, they really set the bar very high. So next year we're going to encourage others to join in this participation, and let's keep this competition very competitive. So congratulations to all of our winners. Job well done.
A lot of hard work and attention to detail.
Absolutely.
It's super fun to watch. The fifth item on our agenda is some comments from Dr. Washington.
Yes, some of my comments I am going to defer to the Parks and Recreation Department, but as always, I just want to take the time out and just to acknowledge all of us that is sitting around the table. We are just coming out of our Thanksgiving season. And when we still think about our brothers and sisters in Western Carolina that is still going through the rebuilding, not only of the physical structures as well as the mental structures, but just day-to-day life transitions, please keep them in their prayers, in your prayers, and also even with us that's sitting around this table. I know for me, this was a very hard Thanksgiving because I recently lost my only surviving brother back this April. So sitting around the Thanksgiving table without my dad, without my mom, and without my two brothers, my family circle was extremely small. It was my first time. And so what an adjustment, but still, even though they might have been physically missing, they're not missing from my heart. So we have a lot to be thankful for. Even when we have many losses, the good Lord is still very kind and merciful, and that He will always be. So continue to just acknowledge we have a lot to be thankful for. I also want to bring to everyone's attention, just in case if you do not know this, but I can't remember what the last day of this month is going to be, but we know it's going to be the 31st of December. Mr. John Carter, our city attorney, who has given us 27 years of his time and dedication, is going to be retiring. So just in case if you happen to see Mr. Carter, please acknowledge him and let him know that you wish him well wishes in the new chapter of his life. Our leadership helm is also, we're in the process of getting ready to appoint, or shall I say hire, an assistant city manager. So there is going to be a lot of new changing faces within the power structure of the city of Jacksonville. So, and lastly, we're getting ready to come up upon the Christmas season. Again, a lot of things to be thankful for. Don't want to belabor a lot about religion, but if religion is very dear in your heart, you can't help but to talk about religion and what the Christmas season means to all of us. So we're just going to be kind to one another. Some things you just roll it off your back because it's just not that serious. Do unto others, and hopefully they will do back unto you the way that you want to be treated. So that's all I have to say.
Well stated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the city update, and also thank you for the seasonal words. and
Yes.
Some things to think about.
Absolutely.
Very good. We are moving on to the Parks Department update with Scott Perozzi, who,
So real quick, I'd like to introduce him, but before I do, I wanted to do some house cleaning or keeping us up to date on some things. So if you would, we're going to obviously email you and send you text messages and all of these things like we always do. But if you have a moment and want to mark on your calendar, December 16th, we are going to do a ride around for the Christmas decorations. And yes, we're going to probably have some hot chocolate, maybe even some donuts on that trip. So we'll get more information out to you moving forward. But I would expect that somewhere between like a 5 to 8 o'clock, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. ride around. Just be aware of that. And as I said, we'll get some, I'm sure you'll see emails from Chelsea. So that's about 10 days away from now. Just be aware of that. You know, this year, I want to take a minute and talk about the Christmas parade. I know there are people in this room who attended this year. Well, let me say that differently. They didn't attend. They were actually in the parade. As you're well aware, the city is a supporter of the parade, and as the Parks Department, as well as many other departments in the city, are active participants within that parade. And this year, to my knowledge, it's the first time Environmental Appearance actually were part of that parade with us. And I think that's awesome. Congratulations to you for doing that. It's one thing to talk about being supportive. It's another thing to be on the back of that hayride and be a part of that on a day that's maybe not sunny and 65, as we know that day wasn't.
Yeah.
But what a great event. Congratulations, and thank you for coming and being a part of it. I think that speaks volumes to all of you here, and I really do appreciate that. And I know, and sometimes this does go unnoticed, the staff appreciates it. Trust me, the park staff sees that. They appreciate it, and thank you so much. So tonight, we have Scott Perozzi, who is our park maintenance supervisor, and Scott's responsibilities with us are basically on the park side of the house. He's going to talk to you tonight about some of the things we've been doing in our park system and some of the things that we're going to do in the park system. After he's finished, he's going to turn it over to Jason, and you might be familiar with Jason a little more than Scott, but Jason's going to talk about what we've done around the city in the last year to help some of our beautification enhancements, leading right up to this time of year, Christmas, and talk to you about where we're also going with some things. So I'm excited for them to be here. They're a big part of why you're on this board and what it is you're supportive of. And I can't thank them enough for being here tonight, and we'll pass it on to Scott and let him start his.
All right. Thanks for having me. We're just going to start out here. So this is the youth fields, which are one of the first areas that I think Michael focused on to improve. We've kept the fields up very well this past year. They've been playing games. It's just one of those fields. There's 4 fields there, plus the adult fields that we have at the Commons, and they're used. The adult fields just stopped being used in October. So we had games from starting in February with tournaments, started the seasons in April, and went all the way through October. So The adult fields, we line off 4 to 5 days a week, 4 fields, and then the youth fields, they're used from basically April through October with a break in the summer because of summer
And that's
vacations.
just the commons, right?
Yeah, that's just the commons, right. That's not including Jack and Miette or anywhere else. So they're competitive fields as far as we take care of them. They're Bermuda, we fertilize, we spray. We have a lot of our staff that we're very proud of got their pesticide license, which enhances how we take care of our fields. And we're very proud that we're able to have most of our staff have pesticide licenses. So this is an event we started last year. The city bought a snow machine to make snow for Winterfest. Well, since we bought the machine, we wanted to enhance the customer appreciation for what we do. So we wanted to do a separate event at the amphitheater for our citizens. So what we did was we came up with the idea of using hay to make longer lanes, because the slide that we use is wonderful. It's on a trailer, but it's a little bit short. It's like 35 feet the kids go down. They love it, but it's not really long. When we did this, I kind of looked it up, researched it on the internet, and we came up with this idea, and we put the snow in, which we have more pictures, but these lanes are 120 feet long down the back of the amphitheater. So it was a great experience. They went pretty fast, and there was 3 lanes instead of 2, and when you had longer lanes, it was less of a wait. So it was just a better overall experience for everybody.
It really enhances the safety of growing up.
Yeah, well, we fill it in, you'll see it. I mean, we had to do that to keep the snow in, so we had lanes, and then the hay, it's a rather inexpensive way to make it. So it was a good experience. So we used 170 bales of hay to make the lanes that were 120 feet long. We used 18 tons of ice, which is 36,000 pounds, that went through the snow, and we have about 8 staff members that have to work on that, and we do it in about 3 hours. So that's a lot of individual 20-pound bags that you have to break, open up, throw in, and we have 2 guys on the snow machine blowing it. So it is a pretty big undertaking. We've gotten a lot better at it. We started 3 years ago, but we all know it's a challenge. But the guys like doing it, and it's a good team building exercise because we all have to work together to make it work. And there's a picture of the children going down, and it worked out really well. And I think it's scheduled for sometime in January again. After Winterfest is this weekend, then we'll do the same thing in January at some point.
Scott, I think it would be fair only to admit to the staff that our staff does test the lanes.
Oh, of course, you have to. We have to squish down the snow so the lanes are there. You can't.
Our staff makes sure it's safe.
We go down many a time.
It's
Yes.
been tested, tried, and proved.
That's right. That's exactly
There may or
right.
may not be a video.
There is some, and I fell off one time for sure. There's one out there for sure. Yeah. So this is just an upgrade we try to do to in the parks. Water fountains are always a sore subject as far as what we should do with them. So what we came up with was one that had a water bottle filler. So because of COVID and because of other things, we thought that was a better way to go, that maybe it'll get used more, and it has a filter, which some people don't want to use a water fountain because it might not taste as good. It has a water filter just like on your refrigerator, and it is a lot better tasting. I've tried it when we installed it. That was our first one, which is in Richard Ray. We have one at LP Willingham, the fishing area, and one at Kerr Street. We have 3 more to put in this spring, and then we'll slowly have 2 more after that, and we'll be done installing them. But they all have
Buy
filters.
their own bottles or?
Oh, yeah. If they want to, like a lot of kids come to water to play basketball or go to the playground with their own bottles, now they can fill them up. Yes.
Or
So,
tumbler or anything, right?
yeah, tumbler, anything. There's the button that's below, you can see it. You just push it in and put the bottle under it, and it fills it up. Yes,
The
ma'am.
majority of city buildings have them for the employees.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just thought it was a good idea to move forward with in our parks. And then it has where you can drink if you don't have a bottle there on the side there. So this is just a picture. We just replaced all the wooden split rail at the Commons. So we've done quite 3 projects like this, but we just finished this last week. So we finished it, went from the shelter all the way around to the youth fields and then over to the walking trail. That was done by our staff, and we had 3 guys working on it for about 2 weeks, and they knocked it out. So as far as that, we did Jack and Miette, when that first opened, we did Woodlands Park, we did the school side and the the backside off of Drayton Hall, right there, and then the Commons, which was over 2,000 linear feet of fencing. So that was done in the summer, and then Jack and me a couple years ago, and then we just finished that. So, and that was done by our staff, which does a great job at it. This was some landscaping that we did with Jason and our guys and the park guys. We all worked together at Northeast Creek, tried to enhance around the splash pad and the shelter that was there. So the next picture was, I don't know if you've been to Northeast Creek, but we did upgrade the shelter there last year. We did like a remodel on it, which it looks tremendously better, and it's been very well received as far as the look. Kind of matches the bathroom at the splash pad, and we put a ceiling in and like can lights, and it's just a lot better look and better experience for our customers.
Recreation Adult Services held an event out there in the summer, and it was very, very well attended, and a big storm came through.
Yes.
And we were super grateful for that shelter.
Yeah, I was there. I showed up to help them, yes.
And I want to add on to that. That is the original shelter, and we spent around $50,000 of upgrades, renovations on that shelter there, which was a small drop in the hat as opposed to knocking it down and rebuilding something. And what we got out of it was, you know, you can draw things up and you can look at pictures of what you think it's going to look like. This was beyond our wildest dreams for $50,000, what we ended up getting out of it. So this is a great example of getting a great bang for your dollar here. We did really good with this. This is good. And a lot of kudos and thanks to the engineering department.
That's correct.
You know, they were definitely had their fingers all over this and helping with the design and kind of steering us in the right directions and making it as cost efficient as it was. Sorry, Scott.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
I have a question for you, gentlemen. So those upgrades look absolutely beautiful. And question, for next season with the Ospreys, the Jacksonville Ospreys, are all of the games scheduled for Jack AMED, or do we have the capability of utilizing other recreational grounds to incorporate those games?
At this current time, we don't have a field sized large enough to be able to accommodate what it is,
They require.
the type of league that they're playing and the requirements that they need. We don't have a field for that. Maybe one day we will, and that's a great point. We'd love to be able to move them around, but Jack Amiet is their home base for today and maybe even in the near future. Maybe one day though, right?
Maybe one day. Mr. LaCour, if you can you and staff maybe find out when the first home game is going to be
I got it.
for Osprey?
I
I think it's, go ahead, I think it's May 28th.
Because I was about
We shut
to
our
say,
phone off.
maybe if it works with our group's schedule, that maybe we can go over as a group and not only see the game, but also just look at the facility itself and what went into the facilities in order to be able to have a minor baseball league that's here in our town.
What do they play on the following Thursday? Because that would be a potential meeting date for this group.
No, they do not. They're away.
Well, we can look at the schedule. They do start on May 31st. That's their first home game. But we can still, we can move things
They don't have
around.
a single home game on Thursday.
They don't have any home game. Well, we can move
Every
things
other-
around, obviously. It's funny, we just got the schedule today. That's why we were excited we knew that. I will tell you, since we're talking about that, the Ospreys did apply for the All-Star game this year. And we should be, we're proud as a Parks Department. The city should be proud. We provided a very nice facility for them, and they put a bid in for the All-Star game. Of course, we're rooting for them to get it. We hope they get it. A lot of the feedback, or some of the feedback that we received from the owners, the Patinos, was that they felt like they were going to be more competitive this year. And one reason was probably because a lot of the players liked our facilities and they wanted to play at facilities like that more often. i.e. home games would be there, so half their season would be there. And so hopefully, and they had a very good year last year in the big picture to be an inaugural season, but hopefully even the field and the facilities there can help draw on their success moving forward. And I think Scott's even going to have some
Got some
pictures for you
pictures
coming
of
up.
Jack and me.
I remember when that field was basically refurbished, and just seems like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
15, I think, the open ceremony. I looked at the picture just the other day.
Oh, yeah.
So, but this is just another picture of the vinyl fencing at Jackamath. That was the first thing, just to keep on showing what we did. And now this is just the field itself with all the banners that the Patinos put up, and just shows the quality of the grass and the warning track that we maintain and fertilize and all that. Just kind of show what we're about. This was the Patinos and the athletics and us, and transportation kind of together worked on putting the batting cage on the left corner. So that was, helped them put the poles in, and that's transportation putting up the batting cage, and that was well received. And I think there's talks about trying to put another one up, and we'll see how that goes this coming year. Now the bleachers. These bleachers were ordered for this, which was well needed, but they were delivered to our building. We had to put them together. With the help of FMS, which we could not have done it without them. It was a 2 to 3 week project, and over like 8,000 bolts, like little nuts and bolts and putting stuff
It was
together.
truly in pieces.
It was
I mean,
in
there was
pieces,
nothing put together.
and it was 4 of these pieces together, or 8 actually, and you had to put them together and deliver them. So it was a major undertaking, and we worked together. And I don't want to put any bleachers together again.
Was the instructions in English?
Yes, they were. But, I mean, you have to crawl under, and I don't have a lot of cushion on my head, and I hit it 2 or 3 times trying to get under. It's just one of those things. But sometimes things come up, and you just do it and get it done. And we actually had a good time doing it, because we worked with FMS for 2 weeks straight, and some different guys that we don't usually work together were able to work on that, and it was a good experience for us. So yeah, we partnered with FMS. Bleachers were delivered and assembled, and we had 2 to 3 weeks complete, and 8 park staff and FMS together put them together. So this is the Jacksonville Osprey
Logo?
That's their
logo.
logo.
Yeah, that's their logo, and Michael.
So that's actually on the grass at the ball field. We actually were able to paint that out there. We had a stencil made.
A stencil made, and me and Michael went out there and a couple of staff, and we put it where we thought, and we put 2 of them, and that was a kind of a little extra thing we did for opening day, and it came out really well, actually, a lot better than I was expecting at first. And we'll try to hopefully at All-Star game we can have some real good plans for that. That'd be great. This is the other field that's a larger field that's downtown. Johnny Crawford, we put a lot of work in that field the last few years, ever since Hurricane Florence. That was under 2 to 3 feet of water. Every bit of that clay there was covered in 1.5 feet of soot after that storm. And tell you a little funny story. We didn't know what to do, because clay's kind of expensive, and we didn't know about tearing it all up. So we actually used one of the machines that we have, which is an MT55 with a brush that we clean asphalt with. And I went out there with a few staff members, and we brushed it off. And we didn't take barely any clay off. So we were able to brush it and blow it all out into the outfield, and then chop it up with mowers. And now we had to add some clay, but it was nowhere close to digging it out, and it actually worked out pretty well. And the guys there, Jerome Smith, one of our staff members, was there for a few years, and he did a great job improving it and maintaining. Now Doug Johnson's there, and they've done a great job. All our staff does, but they've worked pretty hard getting this field back up to our standard. Now, we had an upgrade to the playground at Wilson Bay this past year that had it lasted very well, but it was definitely in need of an upgrade. Thankfully, we're able to put another inclusive playground, which is big. It has ramps, and so it's accessible to all different types of children and users. So it had some shade, our first playgrounds with some larger shades on them, and we had that installed earlier in the year, and then we were able to get a little higher picture, drone picture of it before it was finished. I thought that was kind of a cool picture from up top. So it's been very well received, well used, and hopefully hopefully it should last. It's first time we use this company. It should last hopefully to 20 to 30 years, depending on use.
That is a very busy park.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Very busy.
Every day we go there, it's full for sure.
Yes.
So that's been very, I was glad to get it done. Playgrounds are kind of my thing. I like to upgrade them if we can, but they're not cheap, that's for sure. So, and also there was a wooden fence at Wilson Bay that's been there for years, and we didn't know whose fence it was or whatever, so we decided, Jason did a great job. We were able to get part of this fence as a leftover from another department, so we only had to buy a little bit to finish it, and we installed that last year. Our staff did 6 foot, and we did it all the way down there, kind of hid the wooden and made it look a lot better.
It's a beautiful waterfront park.
Yeah.
And just those small changes, not with the playground, but the fencing, and it really enhances the landscape there.
Thank you.
And we're hoping to do some, a little bit of enhancements to the concrete walking up. I've been working with transportation on that, and we're going to look at it next week or two, and we're hoping to do some more work on the concrete to really try to finish off all the walkways there. So this is, nobody sees this, but this has been a very big deal for our department. When Jason and I both got to the Parks Department, they used to go and get materials when they needed it, and we thought about it, and we talked to Michael, and we were able to add expand the back lot. And we're able to put these bins where we can stock clay, sand, brick chips, mulch, soil conditioner, stuff like that, not have to go. It saved us money, it saved us time, and we're able to keep it in our back lot now. So we have up 10 bins with different materials in it that we don't have to run the truck to go and waste gas, time, and money.
It's really efficient.
It is very efficient. What it really allows us to do is bulk order.
Right.
And you know when you bulk order, you're going to get your best prices. So the value is, 1, bulk order. 2, when something happens, and something happens all the time, right? There's always something happening that we didn't know was going to happen, or we didn't plan well, or whatever, something always happens. We generally will have the materials on site for us to be able to resolve that happen as soon as possible.
Yeah, so that was a big deal for us to get it back to where that was. We used to have we have trucks, and we were pretty tight. I was very tight before we were able to get this done. And this is the front side of it. So we have a building where we were able to add, and then we have some more materials there, which is sand that we had to pull out of the playground. That's from Wilson Bay, some fill dirt, and some other rock. So we added quite a bit of space, and it's been very beneficial for our department. So our upcoming projects for my side, we're all together, but we have to split up to make sure we get our stuff done. Is Hendrickson Green sign? We're gonna try to take out all the landscaping, redo it, put a little wall in, and add some plants, and then have a little area for annuals and perennials and stuff like that. The marina, downtown marina, Jacksonville Marina, they're in the process right now. Contractors there putting in shade structures and concrete walkways there as we speak. And then when they're done, we'll be able to go in there and do some landscaping and put grills, tables, and benches in. So,
Will that project increase the opportunity for parking down there, or will it decrease it?
shouldn't decrease it,
It
no.
won't do either.
It should
In
stay
the
the
short
same.
term, it's not going to do either. In the long term, I'm sure, depends on where the city goes with that area and what sort of plan. I know there's been talk of another phase of the marina, and that may not just be the marina. It may include, other parts of that.
The old water department type thing.
Right, or Kerr Street or wherever, yeah. We might try to incorporate it all together. We'll see how the future
It's a great
planning goes.
question.
And then I think Pat Brandenburg was here, talking about stormwater and all that, but she got a grant, and it's a real big deal for us they're replacing the boardwalks at Northeast Creek Park with that grant. So they're gonna, I don't know all the specifics still, but I know they're moving the wetlands and all that, but that's something they're planning, and they're planning on doing some works later in 2025 at some point starting, and then that should be a project that goes on for a few years, but we're very excited to get that redone and usable, because it's been damaged highly and it's barely even open at this point from all the hurricanes and stuff. So, And then the last thing is updated park signage. Michael and I and media have been working on trying to get some new park signs that are a little bit user-friendly for people that, because we do have a lot of people in this area that are not from here and might have some more signage that shows where the parks are and how to get there and what's available there. So they're going to hopefully be three-sided panel kiosks, and we have some examples here. These are concepts we're working with them. And the one up top is the one we're using, and say for Wilson Bay, we're going to try to do Wilson Bay and the Marina first. They're going to be our first 2 trial areas, but as you can see, it shows what's there and then a little bit, and then the rules, but it's can be interchangeable a little bit on the bottom, and it's just a little bit more clean look. We're trying to get that throughout all our
That's
parks.
a vast improvement. That's phenomenal. And, we have a transitional community. Every 18 months, we have a whole new group of people
Right.
who are, living, working in our community, and they need to know how to get around or what amenities are out.
Because a lot of people I run into, like, I didn't know there was Northeast Creek Park, or I don't know about Wilson Bay, or, because when I'm in the park, I'm checking things, but I see a young family, I go up and talk to them, say, how do you like this, or do you like this park, do you like this playground, or do you know about Wilson Bay, do you know about Northeast Creek? Because Richard Ray, out of all parks, is the busiest, right, because of Commons and they're walking, and that playground is very nice, but it's not very big. Northeast Creek is probably twice the size, so I'm always trying to say, hey, you know about this park? It has rubber. That's why we installed the rubber at Wilson Bay and did some upgrades in other playgrounds a couple years ago, because the parents love not having sand. It's better for safety, and it's better for the families to be able to use it, and accessibility. So these are things we're hopefully going to do here in the near future when the marina opens up, and then we'll start. It's a process to get the rest of the parks done.
I do have a question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Concerning parking at Wilson Bay Park, I noticed that there are a lot of signs that says no parking. But if, say, an organization, say a family, has gotten permission to have an event at Wilson Bay Park, can a permit be issued just for a certain span of time so that you may have an overspill of cars at an event. Can a special permit be gotten for that?
So I'm going to try and answer that, okay?
Okay.
There are special permits that are done in the
Okay.
city, but for Wilson Bay, there is a limit to how many people will reserve that shelter for. Okay, and the administrative recreation side of the house does that. My recollection is it's 50, if there's going to be more than 50 people. And we really don't have anything to do with the fact that there's no on-street parking, right? We don't have anything to do with that. That is another, I can't think of the group in the city. It's a 3-letter acronym. But anyway, we don't really have anything to do that. What we do have a commitment to do is make sure we don't overbook the park.
Okay.
Give somebody the park, tell them to go use it, and then not have parking for them when they get there. One of the other places we ran into that was at Northeast Creek during the peak months of summer, where the splash pad is. That shelter that we all looked at, I don't believe we rent that out during those peak months, because if you've ever been to Northeast Creek during the June and July months, it's hard to get a parking spot. And you don't want to have somebody schedule a birthday party or a family or whatever it is. You don't want them to have to schedule that, get there, and find out there's nowhere for them to park, So I hope that answered your question. Kind of did, didn't it?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. I think the number is really going to be the driver at the end of the day. If you're going to, and I again, don't quote me, but I believe it's 50. If it's more than 50 people, we're going to try and give you other avenues that may better meet what you're looking to do in the city, that the size of what you need.
No, right now I don't have anything in mind, but in the past that has happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's why
Parking is an issue.
we've changed that policy a little, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Any questions for me? All right. Jason, you're up, buddy.
All right, we'll try to make this quick. So, obviously, this presentation is pretty much on what we've been doing for, I'd say, the last 6 months or so. I didn't obviously put a bunch of slides in here of everything that we do, but just some of the things that you can see visually as you're riding down the highway or within the park system. Obviously, we do summer annuals, winter annuals. Celosia is our big, this is the plant that everybody calls me every year that we put around the Freedom Fountain area. It's called Celosia. It's, you can get it at Lowe's now. I think maybe we started that, where Lowe's has picked that up, because we were generally buying those from a local nursery, and then Lowe's started carrying it last year, thank goodness, because I couldn't tell them to keep going to that nursery. But this is the one that does it in the summertime. Then we've got violas and snapdragons right now. We do 2 seasonal change-outs a year. We did a small third one this year with some mums, and they did pretty well, but we were extremely dry this fall, so we struggled with keeping the mums going. So we'll see how next year looks when it comes to that. Couple photos. This is when we get them delivered. This is what it looks like. It takes us probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to unload off of a truck with probably 8 people. And we pull from the, obviously the Celosia is the burgundy, and this is kind of the summertime flowers. And this is your winter annuals. This is snapdragons, and there was some mums there that we had planted along those lines. So you don't have quite as much color, or it's not as bright in the winter time, but it's longer season actually in the wintertime for us to have flowers. So snapdragons we plant, and they don't do very well when it's extremely cold, while violas do. So those are the ones that you'll see frost on the ground, snow on the ground, and they still have a flower on it. Snapdragons won't do it, but when spring comes, those will have flowers, and the violas won't look quite as good. So we kind of mix a blend of both throughout the city to make sure that we have some color year-round. This is obviously the Freedom Fountain area. These are begonias that we had done white and red this past year. And obviously this is a focal point for what we do. You just saw the photos of the lights and everything else, and we're proud of that area, and we want it to stay looking good. This is the butterfly garden down at LP Willingham Park, where we have seasonal colors on each end, and then we have perennials that come back every year. We don't have to do much planting in there. Those are for the butterflies, those are for the honeybees, those are for, all insects to come and enjoy. And when it rains, we've got a bird bath right in the center. And then we've got some decor that we've had brought in to put in there and to beautify that area. So we have done phase 1, or we have started phase 1 here outside the 2 back doors here on the Johnson end of City Hall. We've removed soil, and we installed pretty much year-round color. We have got everything for every time of the year, just to make it look a little bit better than what it was. What we have is existing plant material. The City Hall's been here for 15, 20 years now. We think about that. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but some of the plant material was mainly evergreen, and they didn't have a flower. We wanted to bring in a little bit better color, and hopefully we have done that. We changed the stone out to an NEMP stone, which is a DOT-approved stone. There'll be some more phases as we move forward, and the idea is, as the streetscape project is coming, we will be able to tie in all of it at one time. And it should be very soon. So this is kind of what it looked like when we installed it. We've got summer color, we've got winter plant material in here. We had done a wall on the backside for the employee area to sit in last year, and then we did this summer, and then we're going to be doing the phase 2 of this project here. I'm hoping, weather permitting, January, February timeframe. It's just going to depend. I did want to give you an update on the Beirut Memorial Grove. They're doing pretty good. We have replaced some of the lighting that was out there. Obviously, we're using solar lighting out there because I cannot power up everything out there when it comes to that. So there are some things that we've had to do. We had some theft out there. You would not believe that, but we have had some missing. And so we keep an extra 50 lights on hand. Pretty much, I try to stay at that number. But theft-wise, that's not, it isn't that many, but we have had theft, and I would not have dared believe, as dark as that area is at night, that somebody would take those things. So anyways, the landscape beds, we had some issues with the existing knockout roses that we had. They were a sunny knockout rose, which was a yellow, so we went yellow and red because of the Marine Corps. And the yellow ones that we had planted in 2014 or 15, they've got a disease, and we ended up going back and replacing those with a different hybrid rose now, which was a big undertaking because it was close to 300 shrubs whenever it was said and done. And the ground is not the best suited soil out there because it was all underneath where the roads were. So it's a struggle. Needless to say, and it's a hot environment. It's just hard. And hopefully the hybrids will do much better. We planted some in the spring, and then we planted some more this fall. And so far, so good. And we'll continue to pay attention to it. And if we need to make changes, we will. But there's what some of the trees look like. This was right in the middle of the summer when we were getting rain, and it was very consistent, and they done well. As things got dry, you start dropping some leaves, and you'll see some of that as you're riding by. But for the most part, this was early springtime, so the trees were just pushing out new growth. And then obviously we put out the American flags around all of those, not only lights, but we put American flags out for holidays and stuff like that. And then obviously Northwoods Middle comes in and puts their ribbons out for that time frame in October. So we try to beautify, not just recognize, but we try to beautify that area to identify what that is for the city of Jacksonville. And we take pride, the guys take pride in trying to maintain this. And the good thing is we have a lot of retirees that work for us. And those are the most detailed people, when it comes to this. No questions asked. They are the ones on the ground that make sure that this is right because they understand the history. And so this is what you get. Those were the hybrid roses that we ended up installing for there. So one of the new things that our department took over here in July is we started taking over the stormwater control measures, is what it's called. Retention ponds, that would be an easier way for a lot of y'all to understand it. For me, it's SCMs. It's too long of a word, but it's a very critical and important part of stormwater. You heard Pat Donna Brandenburg's spiel about everything that water has to do with the city of Jacksonville and what she's been doing to improve what it is. These are part of that. This is something where we've came in, we are starting to remove dead or dying plant material. We're getting it on a better routine maintenance schedule. And there's about 15 areas right now throughout the city. As obviously the city develops more areas, there will be more areas as time goes on. It is a work in progress in the fact that we're new to maintaining these. Plus, we need to use Pat for her knowledge in some of the things that need to be done. And so it is a joint effort because at the end of the day, her responsibility is to make sure they're operating and they're working the way they're supposed to be, okay? And so this was an initial cleanup. This is what it looked like when we started. And this is what it looks like now in the fact that we are trying to get it back to square one and making sure that we know what the plant material is that's in there. Vegetation-wise?
At Western Boulevard?
No, this is the Jacksonville Landing.
So,
And this is part of a DOT pond as well.
so Jason, for a minute, that's a pretty dramatic picture from
Yes.
one to the other.
Right.
Share with everybody why what we're looking at now is so important to the functionality of the SCM as it should work.
Well, the idea, sometimes when plant material grows up, a lot of times it shades out some of the plant material you wanted to actually go in there and live. And so what we're trying to do is get that big stuff out so that the smaller things that we want there to live, to survive. And if we put it on a regular routine schedule-wise, then it should be much easier to control. And so that, I think we have a little bit more manpower when it comes to some of these areas, and I think that's going to be an advantage for us to be able to do this. It's going to be a work in progress. You know, nothing's going to be easy. It's easier to hit something this hard and clean it up initially than it is to go back, put plant material in that's supposed to be there and making sure that it stays there, survives without a lot of competition. The key thing about water and all those things is you want that plant material to uptake some of those nutrients, take some of the bad stuff out of the water before it gets into the waterways, et cetera. And so certain plants do a better job than others. And that's what Pat really pushes, and that's what we're going to try to do to make sure that it works. And hopefully it can be a joint effort, no different than working with facility maintenance or traffic signals or any other department within the city.
So the Jacksonville Landing is 10 years old this
Yeah.
month. It's hard to believe it's 10 years
Yeah.
old, but so that we're looking at a 10-year-old retention pond.
Yep. So this is the US, we call it the USO. It's actually on the Port City Java side of the river. And this is where we had volunteer trees growing in here. And we didn't know where the rocks, we didn't know where a lot of this stuff was. There was pipes in there, et cetera. This is what it looked like after we got finished. One of the responsibilities is you see the grade down inside there. We have to keep the trash cleaned out. What happens is there are drains up on the roadway, and trash flows through it. This is a trap that they've had installed, so it gets caught before it goes down into the rivers, right? And so we, on a consistent basis now, have to clean those out on top of starting from square one in some areas, like this one, and put the plant material back the way it's supposed to, and hopefully maintain it at a much higher level so that it looks attractive for the city, and two, it functions the way it's supposed to be.
Is that city property or DOT?
This is city property. Yes, this is grant money that I think.
So that's right where it dips to Tallman Street, and that's a really notoriously wet area.
Yes. Yep. And the good thing was, we were already maintaining around some of this stuff already, so it is more work, don't get me wrong, but we're already there. It's not like we're making any special, too many special trips to some of these areas. This is Fire Station 2. This is literally only 4 years old, I believe, and we already had wax myrtles volunteering everywhere around this pond. And you can see as tall as some of this stuff is, some of these plants are supposed to be here and some of the plants are not supposed to be here. I mean, that is the theory. And, we get phone calls from the firemen, that, hey, they want, it to look nicer or whatever else. And we work around it the best we can. But I told them, give me a little bit of time and then we'll get this figured out. And so we came in, we left the appropriate plant material in, and we just cleaned out the larger items to make it look more visible to the eye for people passing by, that it looks much nicer, still hopefully holding the same functions, hopefully coming back and having plant material that will survive and do right. So we'll shift a little bit to Christmas. We spent 2 weeks on just pole decorations this year. We actually put 235 pole decorations up this year, which is a little bit more than what we did last year. It took about 5 personnel because we do our own escort work now, so we don't involve the police department in doing that, which makes us a little bit more efficient when it comes to day-to-day, because we're not having to wait for them. If they got a call or something like that, we're able to just go right on out and do these areas. But some of these areas are Belfort, Gum Branch, Hargett, Henderson, Highway 17, obviously downtown, New Bridge Street, Country Club, Cheney, all over the place. This is kind of the apparatus on what we do. We have one guy on the ground that's paying attention to traffic. We have a guy in the bucket truck, and then we have a truck behind it and an escort truck behind it, so that we work as a team and it functions that way. One of the things that I want to make sure that I relay to the public is, because we put 235 decorations up and because it takes 2 weeks to do this, we go straight forward and put those up. We don't go back and try to troubleshoot too much in the fact that if there was not power from a Duke Energy perspective or a Jones Onslow perspective, if for whatever reason there wasn't power there when we went there, we still put the decoration in. We noted it on our paperwork so that we come back after the fact and double check these things. But because we have so many to put up, the energy companies want a whole list of the city if we have those issues, so they can put in one work order to fix 20 or 10. And so I want to make sure the public understands that because we got several phone calls this year, it is what it is. And I understand that everybody wants their pole decoration up and all of that, but there's got to be a certain process, and obviously that's the process we have to do. And it just takes a little bit of time to get there.
It tells you the ownership of the community also.
Yes.
That when they see the ornament go up, and that night, if it's not on, they are on the phone the next day letting us know. Even though we wouldn't know if it was coming on or not, because we're on number 122 of 236. We're not concerned with that yet. It is hard sometimes to take them through the process of doing it. We do it, but our ornament's not working.
And out of the 235 that we put up right now, as we sit here today, I would tell you 225 probably are working, 220, which is not really in the grand scheme of things. With you're talking about power that sits out all day long, every day in the elements, that's not bad. But some of these are waiting on power companies to get everything tied in. I can promise you the timers are in. Everything on our end we've done. We're just waiting on getting those fixed, okay? So this is Christmas decorations in the parks and the right-of-ways. We call it small decorations, and this would be the LP Willingham, Riverwalk Park, the Commons, Freedom Fountain, the landing this year, gateway signs and Highway 17 interchanged. I know I was asked about earlier this evening. This year, we've put up about 350,000 lights by the time we get finished, and it's over 100 plus figurines within these areas. I don't know what happened.
They want you to see their feet.
Oh, yeah, that. So, and this was this is obviously, so we added about 70,000 lights just this year. A lot of that was Freedom Fountain. Wow. We've added the landing. This is an area that, it was a very dark area. Scott told you that we're trying to, build with the flotilla, with recreation, et cetera. We felt like this was an idea of them being down there, doing the flotilla coming up. With Winterfest, that maybe we give them a little decor to look at, while they're fixing their stuff.
And the boardwalk down there is busy.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Until the time that people park and watch it from there.
So some of y'all were here. You might see this on this video right here of what this was, but those are our guys, our workers.
There you are.
There y'all are. And I want to say thank y'all for participating. I think it was a wonderful event. It is always fun, for us we like to be in the public. It's not, we are in the public all the time when we work, but we also like to give back. And it's a joy it's a lot of work, but giving out candy canes to just people that are at the parade. And we don't have to, but we have, 8 or 10 people. That's all they're doing the whole time they're at the parade. And it's because we like it. We have interaction. It's no different than the Santa event that we're getting ready to have, and I'm sure you'll talk about that. But so for the things that we do, it's the right thing to do, and it's the best way. I don't know any other event that has that many people, other than maybe National Night Out or Winterfest, that has that many people in one location for that period of time. There's just not that many places for it. And I want them to know who we are.
It's phenomenal, the footprint that the city has with that event. It's a over 30-year-old event.
Yep.
The police department has provided the security for that event, and my 2 decades almost there, the amount of work that goes in. What you guys know, you have to get there at dark 30 in the morning, and it's cold, and there's a lot of moving parts, but it really does show people in our city that, that the public servants do care.
Yeah, and it's interesting because maybe we're the participants in the parade, but we're seeing the police officers riding bikes down the sides, or we're seeing them, with traffic control, and then we see the streets department putting barricades out. And maybe they're not participating, but they're getting candy canes from us when we're coming by them because, I know that's work. That's a time away from their family that they're coming out there to enjoy it, and they do it, and they're smiling and waving and, having a good time. So I think that's a great opportunity for that, and I think it's great for the city to participate in it. I think that's it. Oh, it's not it. So our future projects, kind of like Scott, obviously I've talked about City Hall with phasing, with the streetscape project, and just so y'all know where we're at with the streetscape project, we started our landscaping, we started on the Iwo Jima end behind their phase 1 project. We've caught up with the construction of the phase 1. They're transferring now into the next phase, which is down on this end. So we're up to as far as we can go with landscaping. The beds are not going to stay open very long. If they're done with them, we're going to go ahead and put some plant material in.
Sprinklers in those?
No, there are not sprinklers in those. We're going to continue working on SCMs. Out of the 15 that we have, we've done 12 so far. And we'll get the rest of those probably within the next month to 2 months. And then obviously we're going to continue to maintain beds, turf in the parks, and any city-owned and right-of-ways that we take care of. And we're going to continue doing what we do and try to make the city the best look that we can. This is the phase 2 project of City Hall. This is what I've drawn up for phase 2. I've actually got the permit already sitting on my desk to be submitted. It's just a matter of timing right now for weather purposes, and we'll try to get that knocked out as soon as we can. We're going to try to work it out with maybe traffic too, because unfortunately we're going to be bothering people when it comes down to trying to get this done. So we may have to work some Saturdays to do some of this while there's not as many vehicles here. But this is part of the New Bridge Street project, streetscape project. This is right in front of the old movie theater, and we started there, and we're going to move down with that project. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Go ahead. I was just going to compliment. I'm going back. I know you've been through the whole year. I'm going back to the summer and those beautiful roses at Northeast Creek Park.
Yep.
I wanted to cut some so bad, and I said I want to go to jail. They were gorgeous. They were absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
I walk down there sometimes, and I said I want to show some of these roses, but I said if I do, I'll go to jail.
Great job.
Time and blame it on
The
the
SCMs, who used to take care of those before you guys got that?
I would say, Pat ultimately has been responsible
Right.
for them, and they've maintained them.
Right.
They just are limited with the amount of manpower that they have.
Okay.
And their specialty is obviously the background and the knowledge that she's very well versed in what this is. She just doesn't have the manpower to be able to get some of these back to where they
Right.
needed to be. And so Pat is still ultimately responsible for what they are operating and how they operate and all the inspections and doing all those things. And so that group has been there, and they still are. We still communicate with them on everything that we're trying to do, and hopefully it works out the way it needs to, and hopefully it's a benefit for the city. And as we move forward, stormwater is going to be an issue. It's going to continue to be an issue with the storms that you saw in western North Carolina. Granted, they're in mountains and they're in gorges, and it's the same concept though here when we have Florence. It's the same concept where you have to have things in place for stormwater, no matter what we do. So it's going to be a critical part of our future.
It's better to maintain them and be in compliance than wait till something happens and then be in non-compliance and then get in big trouble.
Right.
I also wanted to tell your Parks Department, it's awesome to drive through and see all the work that they've done for Christmas, all their hard work. And
Thank you.
I think all the community really appreciates it also.
I think you're right. I think we are getting more feedback, when we're down at the park or whatnot. Everybody that comes by is, they like something specific that's out there, or they're saying, when's it going to be on? So it's kind of expectation, to a certain extent, or what are you doing this year? Or what are you doing, in this area? Or, how does that area, or how does this work? And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of teamwork. And it's not just us that do that. Facilities is involved in that, helping us keep power going, the power companies for one. And, whether it's Scott and his staff helping with the parks by cleaning it up before we get there for decorations. So it's a big undertaking, but I think for the bang for the buck that we do for the city, I think it is great. Just a side note, I cut lights on last night down at Riverwalk Park, and it was the first time we cut them on all year that everything was on. We had a couple things that we've got to go back and fix. My wife sent me a text message this morning, and it had already made it to the Richlands Facebook page that those lights were on, to please go down there and go see those. Wow. So that tells you that news travels pretty quick,
Yes.
And I will put one more side note in for the Christmas decorations. We did purchase some things this year from a local vendor. So hopefully this moving forward is a great relationship that we can build off of. To make it, I'd much rather buy stuff locally. It's the amount of volume that we buy is one of the biggest problems, and because we buy commercial grade. So it's a give and take with, maybe we can buy certain items from them, but we are starting to buy some things here locally. So I think that's a great option as well.
Awesome.
Anybody else have anything?
Yes. First of all, I think you guys should have a raise. The amount of work that you actually do, and showing. But I do want to hit on something, two things. One is the amount of folks that you have in your department. Is that enough, or is it something that y'all need more bodies to get out there and work with?
You want me to answer that?
I think I should.
There you go.
Okay. So we currently have 31 full-time employees, including myself and Chelsea. So our intentions are to hire 15 seasonal workers generally from April 1st to the end of October. We couldn't do what we do as efficiently without seasonal help. And seasonal help for us, when we use that term, so what is seasonal help? Some people say part-time. It's actually 40 hours a week for those 31 weeks. We couldn't do what we do without them. And we have some people that come back every year and work with us, some older people, some that probably people in the room know them, and they're good people, and there are some of our best workers. We'll never have enough people. I don't think any department will ever have, quote, enough people. Are we able to make it work with what we have? Absolutely, we are. Would we be able to do more potentially? Absolutely. So I hope I answered that question for you. I dodged it is what I did.
Scott and Jason and Mike, some of the group may not know, I worked together with these gentlemen for 13 years on National Night Out. And we went from just being mostly a police-driven event to it being a more citywide event with other departments being involved. And this parks team is known as the team players, get it done, no complaining, we'll make it happen, don't worry about it. And you call them for something, or they'll come to you and talk to you, and they're just a terrific group of individuals to work with. But that passion for public service, you either have it or you don't, and they have it. They have the passion for public service.
So
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Those words are very kind, and we do appreciate it. And what a great job both Jason and Scott did tonight. And I hope you obviously saw their passion tonight, and that's awesome to see. And for me, I love seeing it out of them. What you don't get to see, but you heard them both talk about, is the buy-in. The buy-in from the rest of the staff. I'm telling you, we have staff that, I guarantee you, we have staff tonight that is riding around looking at Christmas lights to make sure the 220 pole decorations are on and which 15 aren't. We didn't ask them to do it. We didn't schedule them to do it. We have people that have, since we've been here, that have driven down to Riverwalk tonight to look at what they worked on today or yesterday to make sure those bulbs are burning the way they're supposed to burn. They're those people. We have people that, you know, when we're running baseball leagues or big events, they're going out and making sure the ball field looks right for our participants and our customers and our partners, whatever we want to call them. And, you know, for me, that's what I'm most proud of is we have a group of people that, and you hit the nail on the head, that have bought into doing these things around our community that aren't doing it just because it's their job. They're bought into some of the visions we have and the way we do things, and that's awesome. And I'll be honest with you, it's not just the Parks Department. There's a lot of departments in the city like that, a whole lot. And to your point, maybe 13 years ago, we all worked a little more independently. Today, we don't work, you heard them talk about FMS and streets departments and transportation, and we really do work very hand in hand with all these departments because we couldn't do our jobs if we didn't.
Then it goes down to the rank and file. And it's the attitude and the caring. You can't teach somebody that, they just have it.
Yeah.
It's great, it's great to see.
Thank you.
That's true.
All right, now we're on to open discussion, which I think we kind of already did, huh? Okay, do you have anything else to say,
I do
Dr.
not.
Washington?
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making our city look beautiful.
Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up to the group?
I just want to say this. It is Christmas time, and I just want to wish everybody, because we probably won't see each other again before Christmas, that everybody have a blessed, safe, and wonderful holiday, Christmas season. Look out for the folks that are out there, because some are in different conditions. We have to look out for those. But if we all just have a wonderful Christmas, and that's passed around with the smiles on your face and et cetera. And I'm sorry I missed the parade. I had another organization I was in the parade with, and I'm the president of that organization, so I had to be out there. So, but outside of that, I wish everybody a Merry, Merry Christmas.
Very nice. All right, so we'll just announce that our next regular meeting will be 6 o'clock on Thursday, February 6, 2025. 6 o'clock on Thursdays, next will be April and then June after that. At this point in the meeting, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Grace, second?
That's it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good night, everybody.
Aye.